Good afternoon, friends. My name is Alina Shautsova. I'm an immigration attorney from New York. In today's live video, we will be discussing the most recent immigration news. Temporary protected status for some countries, what benefits it provides. We will discuss USCIS new online tool and whether it's going to be useful for you. And in the end, of course, I will answer some of you guys' questions. So please join, say hello, say where you're watching from, and type up your questions. I will be answering them live for free. And here is your chance to ask an immigration lawyer question that may not deserve a consultation, but will provide you some guidelines. So don't forget to like and share this video so more people are going to join us. If this is your first time, welcome. Do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow on Facebook, so we're going to meet more often live. And of course, again, type up your question and let me know where you're watching from. I'm always interested in knowing where you guys are watching from. I know that very often my streams are being watched all around the world, actually. I know I have subscribers from different continents, and it's always a pleasure to see you guys. So let's start. First thing I wanted to discuss is TPS, Temporary Protected Status. Recently, some countries were extended and redesignated for TPS, such as Ukraine and Sudan. But you may be aware that there is a whole list of countries that is designated for TPS, and you can find that list at USCIS.gov website. I'm talking about TPS because I've noticed that a lot of you, many of you actually, do not apply for TPS for some reason, even if you qualify. Some of you believe that it's only temporary status because of its name, temporary protected status. Some of you believe that it will somehow interfere with your existing status. So here I am. I'm going to tell you that if you are from one of the countries that is designated for TPS, and if you were recently, if the country, for example, was recently extended for and redesignated for TPS, you absolutely must register for the extension, and you should apply if you qualify for the first time designated country, designated period. Absolutely. Why? TPS, even though it's in its name, it's temporary protected status. I'm not aware of any countries where TPS was actually, after the designation of the country, was actually taken away from nationals of those countries. Recently, also, relatively recently, the law changed. And now, those of you who have TPS and apply for advanced parole based on TPS and travel out of the United States and come back on that advanced parole, you guys will be considered in legal status, and you will be able to qualify for adjustment of status, for example, based on employment petition, which is a great, huge benefit. Again, TPS, unlike other forms of parole, allows you relatively easily receive travel authorization, okay, which is very, very important. Unlike other forms of humanitarian parole, you will be able to travel anywhere in the world and come back safely. I've heard rumors of some people who could not come back on TPS, but in my 16 about years of practice, I've never met a live person who I can attest that it actually happened to them, that they were not able to use advanced parole that they previously were approved for in order to enter the United States. So TPS is a great status. It does not interfere with any other status that you may have. If you are in F1 status or B1 status, it doesn't interfere with that. It runs parallel, okay? But again, it provides great benefit, ability to travel and come back. It also gives you protection from removal, which is another important benefit, protection from removal. So even those of you who entered the United States without authorization previously, who overstayed your visas, or for example, who have already gotten an order of removal, all of you would qualify if you otherwise meet the requirements. And requirements are very simple. Depending on the country, you have to demonstrate that you continuously resided in the United States from a certain date, and you physically were present in the United States from a certain date, and generally speaking, you're a person of good moral character. Usually that goes to your criminal history and to certain claims, misrepresentation or fraud, claim of US citizenship. If you worked in the United States without authorization, that's automatically forgiven to you when you're filing for TPS. Sometimes you would need a waiver to qualify for TPS. In that case, USCIS is going to let you know about that. A waiver that obtained for TPS purposes cannot be transferred to other immigration benefits. You need to know that. But again, great status. If you are from Ukraine, Sudan, El Salvador, Haiti, guys, other countries which are designated for TPS, check your qualifications at USCIS website, apply and re-register. Very, very important. Now, once I stopped advocating for TPS, let's talk about USCIS. USCIS just recently announced that it's going to expand its online tools, allowing you to request an appointment at the local field office. Why would you need such an appointment? Usually, you need such an appointment if you're requesting some emergency benefit, such as an urgent advance parole, or you have to receive a stamp on your passport that your application for adjustment of status or removal of the conditions is pending, or a judge gave you a green card and you need to make an appointment with USCIS to get that green card. Okay, so variety of reasons, or sometimes you need to get that record of admission, I-94 records, after the judge gave you asylum. Variety of reasons there may be. And previously, to get such an appointment with USCIS, you would have to call them and stay on the phone with them for a very, very long time. And it's been annoying. And you do not know if anybody's going to get back to you. But now you can request such an appointment online, which you would agree is much more convenient, right? And USCIS still has to get back to you confirming the date, time, and place of the appointment, but at least you don't have to call anybody. It should be faster. So hopefully the tool is going to be working seamlessly. Probably not at the beginning, but it will be working at some point. And it's one more thing to simplify our communications with USCIS. So I think it's going to be very useful. And now I will be answering some of you guys' questions. So don't be shy, say hello, and let me help you out a little bit. Type up your question. Hi, Aid. Hi, Sam. Hi, Bibo. Is there any news about asylum? Any news about asylum? Generally speaking, the same picture as we had a couple of weeks ago when we had a previous live. I'm not aware of any major changes with regard to asylum in general. And there is some litigation going on for those who are coming into the United States. For those of you guys who are already here and you're stuck in asylum process, you're still stuck, nothing pretty much changes. Well, 38 new judges were added to immigration system in the United States. So even though it doesn't sound like a huge number, they will be helpful in eliminating that backlog. So some of you guys' cases which are in court may be placed on a calendar, depending on which court got those judges, right? And what caseload they will be able to handle right away. But generally speaking, nothing much changed. One thing I read today about asylum, I read about a denial for someone. And you know, guys, why the case was denied? Because during the trial, the person remembered 2 more episodes of persecution, which they previously did not mention on their written asylum statement. While it is true that you have a right to amend your case up until the decision is made, Such amendments also go against your credibility. So the best case scenario when you have an asylum case, guys, is to sit down, organize your thoughts, and write them down correctly from the very beginning. Because later, when you will be trying to add some information that was supposed to be put on paper previously, you may face the same fate as this asylum applicant did. They lost their appeal, they lost their case because they remembered two more episodes that previously they did not mention in the asylum cases. Asylum is a very strict procedure, guys. You not only measured with regard to statutory grounds, such as whether or not you can be considered a victim of persecution in your home country, your credibility is at stake. And general understanding of the process by the judges generally is that if you come to the United States and you ask for something as serious as asylum, you will be prepared from the very beginning. And if several years down the road, you are remembering something else which you previously did not mention anywhere on your documents, you're probably not credible. So you have to know about this. Please make sure to prepare very, very well if you go through this process. Hi, Nico. Any email address? Guys, you can send your inquiries, short inquiries to my email address at our office, which is very simple. office@shaltsova.com. office@shaltsova.com. This is the email address we use for the inquiries. Hi, Javier. Undocumented parents have 22 years old son. They both undocumented for over 20 years in the United States, no criminal record. Is there any way to petition? Hi, Javier. On my YouTube channel, I have a very good video about adjustment of status. It explains why some people can get a green card in the United States and some do not. In addition to undocumented people to have a 21 years old or older son or daughter who are US citizens who can petition for them, in order for such parents to receive a green card in the United States, they also have to show that they entered the United States legally, meaning that they were inspected and admitted or entered on a visa, or they were paroled. In some states of the United States, some offices accept something called waived-in entry, where a person was tagging along with somebody who went through the border. That someone was inspected, but the person himself or herself were not. However, it counts as a legal admission in some states, not in New York, okay? It's called waived-in inspection. Sometimes, if the child who's 21 above now is in the military, in the United States military, and it can be anything, it can be reserve too, it can be National Guard, a parent can file for parole in place without leaving the United States. Such a parent, if the parole in place is granted, will be able to show that now they have a legal admission. So those would be the general routes and general facts we need to take into consideration when we make a determination whether or not a child who is 21 years old can help their undocumented parents. Well, I hope that my answer helps you guys a little bit. Hi, Dan. Hi, Regine. Hi, Kifa. Hi, DTPIC. Can I get a U visa if someone stole money from my bank account? Well, first of all, we need to see if you filed a police report and if anyone was charged with any particular criminal activity. Then we need to see if that criminal activity is on a list of qualifying criminal activity for the U visa. Then we need to see if the police or the prosecutor will be willing to sign a U visa certification for you if the crime that occurred, that you suffered, was in fact on the list of the criminal activity. And also we need to know if you suffered significant harm, because that's another factor that USCIS is going to take into consideration when they determine whether or not to grant you visa petition. So imagine somebody became a victim of identity fraud and all their life savings were wiped out. Perhaps there is I believe that there is a crime such as grand theft, if I'm not mistaken, on the list. I can be mistaken, but also check this out. If that somebody who was stealing your money was your domestic partner, a spouse, or somebody who lives in your household, if that's tied up to domestic violence somehow, then for sure you will be qualifying for the U visa, provided that you were cooperative with the police and you can demonstrate you suffered significant harm, okay, which can be emotional harm as well, plus significant deprivation of resources, which resulted in some hardships to you. Let's see. Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Bibo. Is there any news about the Dignity Act? Not at this time, guys. I do not have any particular information. I wish I would, but not unfortunately. You know, there was a tragic situation in Hawaii in the United States, and I believe that the attention of the lawmakers, the president, was directed to that situation, which is absolutely heartbreaking situation. I'm sure many of you have heard about that. Hi, happy life. Thank you. I have a question regarding asylum interview. If someone files asylum in 2017, what is your prediction interview date? It's hard to tell, I'll be honest with you. I do have clients who filed cases in 2017 and were already called for asylum interview, and some are not. I'm not really sure what's exactly is going on, apart from I know the information which USCIS shares with us that asylum interviews are being scheduled randomly. About 30% are cases that are being filed recently. About 30%, those are the cases that are being rescheduled after they've already been called for the interview. And the rest of the cases from the backlog. But how exactly it's going to be shuffled? And what if you are not lucky enough to get in those 30%? As such, I would not be able to accurately predict when exactly you will be called for the interview, unfortunately. Hi, Manuel. Can the child of a naturalized citizen get derivative citizenship if the child is here illegally? The child gets derivative citizenship usually when all the conditions are met. The child is in permanent resident status, residing with a parent who naturalized before the child's 18th birthday in their legal and physical custody. Okay, those are the general requirements. What happened to the child? Why is they illegal? How old they are? All this matters. If the child is under 21 and in states such as New York, perhaps look into SIJ, Special Immigrant Juvenile Situation. And of course, we need to know more facts to see what exactly is happening, why the child was left behind to begin with and nobody petitioned for the child, okay? Guys, it's very easy to meet with me. You would need to book an appointment for that. And you can book an appointment by calling my office, 917-885-2261. Hi, Mr. Kumar. Is there any reform coming this year? To be absolutely frank with you, I do not believe that anything is going to be done this year. I just don't believe that. I think that if something will be done, it will be done closer to the elections, which is next year. And this year, you should prepare. I had numerous videos about how to prepare for potential immigration reform. You have to collect your records, copy of your immigration file or files from both courts and USCIS, copies of your criminal records, certificates of dispositions, FBI self-background checks, guys. You can also clear up your DMV situation if you have outstanding tickets. That also can be looked at sometimes, believe it or not. I saw one decision on adjustment of status where a person was overwhelming amount of traffic tickets. I think he had like 40 something traffic tickets, all about the same violation, was denied adjustment of status because the government stated the person did not respect the laws of the United States by continuously violating the traffic rules, right? So all that has to be cleared up, and probably next year. All right, do we have more questions? Hi, Bibu. Can someone apply for humanitarian parole while having pending asylum application in court or even advanced parole? For yourself, you cannot get that. You cannot apply for humanitarian or advanced parole when you are in immigration court proceedings already. Application form I-131 is going to tell you that. Can you sponsor somebody who needs a humanitarian parole? Anyone can file an application for humanitarian parole for anyone, guys. That's what the instructions would tell you, all right? What you can do is to close your immigration court proceedings, perhaps, if you don't believe you have a strong asylum case. And currently, prosecutorial discretion is back on the table. But if you choose to do that, you have to understand that you may not have a second chance to file for asylum. You're also going to lose your employment authorization, okay? And depending on the origin of your country, it may be or may not be a good idea to do that. And of course, it may or may not be a good idea for you to close your case in court. I meet a lot of people, guys, who call me and say, Miss Alina, can you help me to get my employment authorization back? I was in court, my case was closed, terminated. Say, no, I cannot. Once your case is terminated in court, your pending asylum claim is terminated as well. And now you do not qualify for the work permit. So yes, you cannot travel while you are in court proceedings, but you do have a work permit and a chance to win your asylum, okay? Hi, Fahad, thank you very much. From Fahad Malik, we will most likely get another fake act of immigration reform since elections are coming up. What is updates on DACA, Dignity Act, and Registry? It's nasty how lawmakers act like they care about immigrants. Well, you know, I've been to the Capitol this spring. I cannot tell you that they do not care. The individuals that I met do care. However, what they told me is that there are just too many forces working against each other, and they can never agree on anything. Especially, they cannot agree on anything related to immigration, and it's a shame. So I would disagree to say that all of them do not care, but each of them see the situation from a different perspective. What perhaps they don't want to admit to is that they all have to come to a compromise. Democrats are not going to get absolute immigration reform and amnesty. It's a fantasy. US Citizenship Act, the way Biden offered it to us back when he was running for the presidency, in my view, is unrealistic because it was proposing to give green cards pretty much to anybody who was here since November 2020, something like that. I knew it's not going to happen just because the pool of potential applicants would have been tremendously large, and the other side would never agree to it. What Republicans are proposing is much more restrictive to the point it becomes offensive, such as taxing immigrants more just because they're immigrants, which is discriminatory, such as forcing you to live here for 12 years prior to getting a real green card, which is inhumane. There have to be some middle ground somewhere. In my view, the Registry Act would be the easiest way to handle this issue, the registry on a rolling basis. If you lasted here for 7 years, you paid your taxes, You didn't commit any crimes, you have your fair share of right to file for the green card, right? That's what registry is proposing. I know that it's been recently reintroduced. I have not heard of any updates yet as to what's going to happen to it. But that, I think, one real possibility for the immigration reform in this country. Dignity Act, not so dignifying. If you know the details, I think Democrats will be strongly opposed to it. DACA, I think we're still waiting for the US Supreme Court to decide its fate. So right now, we're not really sure as to what exactly is going to happen with that. But registry, I think this one thing that possibly is a great possibility, guys, the registry. Hi, Marzat. Hi, Abdul. Oh, these are my thoughts. Thank you very much, Abdul. Hi, Habjay. Thank you, Saeed. Hi, Dilruba. I'm in USA now. I have a tourist visa. How can I apply for immigration? That's a great question. Can you change your status from visitors or tourist status to anything else in the United States? Yes, you can. But what that anything else will be? Generally speaking, your options will be very limited. If you do not qualify for asylum or adjustment of status based to a marriage to a US citizen, you would have to look into such options as student visa, student status, but then you cannot work in the United States and you must be a full-time student, which is very important. You also must be admitted to a qualifying university, and you have to comply with some other deadlines, such as deadline for when your studies must start. Some people will be able to bridge to E2 non-immigrant visa if they have investments and they're willing to start a business in the United States. But that probably would be about it. You also have to remember that when you enter the United States, USCIS is going to check you against misrepresentation or fraud. If you attempt to change the purpose of your visit within the first 90 days of your arrival to the United States, you may be accused of misrepresentation or fraud. So in theory, USCIS, immigration authorities, do give you an ability to change your status, but in practice, it's rather hard to do so. And your options will be very, very limited. Hi, Ben. We have millions of people crossing our southern border, and you are acting, we're giving the advice that Ukrainians have to be squeaky clean. Oh, that's right. We live in a two-tier justice system. Something against Ukrainians. Guys, Ukraine is suffering from the war, just like many other countries that are designated for TPS. They're suffering from something, civil war, disasters. These are not people who get anything for free, if you so. They've been through a lot. And even if a person is here, imagine now they don't really have a home to go back. That's why United States gives temporary protected status. And I understand some people are frustrated because they feel they didn't get anything, but you can advocate if your country conditions are terrible, you can advocate for your country to be designated for TPS. You know, I wish we had a comprehensive immigration reform, and I understand the frustration of many people, especially those who are stuck in forever legal processing times. But at the same time, we cannot be harboring anger and resentment to the people from the countries that do get something. We should be happy for them, okay? They're not taking anything from you. The little thing that they get, employment authorization, ability to travel, is nothing compared to the sufferings that their countries are going through. Think about that. Can a DACA recipient get a green card through marriage? Very often, yes, depending on other qualifications. The marriage must be real. The DACA recipient has to show that they initially entered the United States legally, or at least after they received DACA, they traveled on advance parole and came back to the United States. They also have to demonstrate that they're not inadmissible, let's say, based on criminal convictions, okay? So all that has to be taken into consideration, but generally speaking, yes, it should work out. Hi, Mohammed. Hi, Kimon. Hi, Larry. Does adjustment of status based on asylum fall under any visibility category? Thankfully, do not. You are not subject to preference categories when you're filing for adjustment of status based on asylum. At least I'm not aware of those restrictions. Maybe there are some, but they've never been exhausted. How about that? But you should be fine. The only thing that you need to be mindful is that after you receive your asylum, you must show to USCIS that you were physically present in the United States for 1 year since the grant of asylum before they can adjudicate your adjustment application. That's the only thing that you should worry about. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please like and share this video. Thank you for your participation. And please subscribe, follow. Next week, hopefully, we're going to have another discussion. And I hope to see you soon.